Thanks for joining us. We're going to go over some simple steps to keep your record profits. We have Todd Westerlund, Chief Revenue Officer of Facepay, and Maylan Newton of ESI, well-respected coach, automotive management specialist, been going since 1984. If you guys joined, I mentioned to the guys on earlier, there's a free coffee available for you. We send it via your invite. I just want to check a couple of things to get us moving. So if you could, we have a Zoom chat available there. So if you could and type in where you're from, just so we get a range of people and we welcome everybody. We're going to be running just a couple of polls here, and then I'm going to hand it over to Todd and Maylan to chat on all things profit. So couple of things on my end. Chat where you're from in the chat box, please. And hello to everybody. My name is Phil. I work for Facepay. I do the customer success training. Facepay is a company that saves you money on some credit card fees, helps towards those profits. So I know everybody has had or for the most part, we've had a very busy year in the automotive industry. So hope everybody is busy and hope everybody is good. We're going to talk through a few things today on how you can save more of that money and keep that hard-earned money that you guys do. So quick poll from ourselves here. So Matthew, if you could share that first poll, we're going to be talking gross profit. So we should be able to share the poll here. If you could, what is your shop's gross profit margins? I know we got some of Maylan's clients on here that we have numbers that we want to reach. And if you could fill out that poll, let us know your answer here. And then we're going to open things up to Todd and Maylan, and they're going to begin their chat. So we'll give you just a minute or so here to fill this out. One final thing from me, we will be offering anybody that signs up for a demo today on Facepay, we can buy your shop some lunch as well. So we're hosting a sign up chat in the chat later. So if we're all good with the poll there, Matthew, we should be good to go. Can we share those results? We can. Okay, excellent. So most of you in that 55-65% range, which is awesome. So good for you guys. Thanks for those who voted. We're going to close this. Todd, Maylan, Todd, I'll hand it over to you and you can introduce Maylan. I know you guys have got a good history together. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and Todd, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I was actually just looking at Dr. Hale and Lori talking, and I was looking, that's right. So March, I'm taking a vacation, and got to tell Dr. Hale, taking vacation in March to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. So beautiful up there, you guys. You guys had great places to grow up. Speaking of growing up, Maylan, I know Phil was going to do kind of an introduction there, but I absolutely want to just take a little bit of time and just do, a little bit of my own introduction. We met all the way back to the Jim Hunt days, and some people just don't. They're like, "Who?" That's who's Jim Hunt? And it's funny because I really, over this last year, there's been a lot of things that have kind of come up, and it just really shows me that if you remember where you came from, it really helps you to know where you're going. And I think some of us, you kind of forget of where it got us, how it got us here. It's pretty wild. And you coached our shop. I was just a mechanic. I was a terrible mechanic at that point. You put some things in place that made me a much better mechanic. And I went to Doug's classes and worked hard for years to earn a smog license and my A6 and my A8 and my L1. Really changed me around. You really helped the shop put a plan in place so that I, as a technician, was motivated to get all of the things that actually resulted in a lot more money for my family and my son. And so, I was really excited and kind of reflecting earlier this morning of how long my career path, I just can't thank you enough. You've just been there and given me just a great advice and really, really key moments. And it's funny, I don't know if you remember, but we there was one day, I think it was the Missouri trade show. One day we were just kind of somehow met up and just had breakfast, and we just talked for like an hour. And then a year and a half or something goes by. We see each other. One day I'm up in Vacaville at the shop up there visiting, just kind of visited you for a few. I thought I was just visiting. And you just kind of said, it's a pretty good day. It's my birthday. And I'm like, hey, we're going out to dinner tonight for your birthday. But all along the way, Maylan, it's not just helping me, always helping shops, helping the industry. I can't thank you enough. And I just wanted to make sure that your time spent here, I'm just very thankful for it, very thankful. And, I kind of always tell my son, if you get the chance to sit with somebody amazing, listen, just shut up, man, quiet, just listen. So I'm going to hit you with some good questions today, Maylan, and I'm going to listen. Little housekeeping, like Phil was saying, is that one of the things that I will do at the end, I'll briefly show Facepay, and let me just tell you why. I have one group of people who said, hey, make sure you show us what Facepay does. I went through the webinar and you guys didn't even show me. And I'm like, well, Maylan and I are having a fireside chat, okay? Then I just had another shop owner said, hey, I don't want to be sitting in some demo webinar with you guys. Can't win either way. So I'll tell you what, I'll meet you in the middle, be very brief. But let's kick it off, Maylan. The hard question. Okay. All the amazing things you do, you simply just raise labor rate, right? That fixes everything for the shop. Right?
Boy, if it was just that easy. It's much more complex than that. And I think that's part of our problem in our industry, because just like you, Todd, I started out as a technician and I went to trade school. So I'm a product of trade school. I got out of trade school, went in as a wrench. And I don't know if it was because I was good at what I did or because I was foolish, I kept moving up in the company. And I realized how little I actually knew. And at that point, I became a lifelong student of not just the automotive repair business, but business in general. And, it's funny, Todd, because the last time I was in Las Vegas, my son and I went over the 4th of July, just him and I, a little road trip. I spent a lot of time on the road like you do. So I spend a lot of quality time with the kids. And we're sitting in a restaurant and I asked him, I said, what do you think the average repair order here is? What's the average sale? How many seats are there? How fast can they turn the tables? And we started talking about business and gross sales and average repair order and profits and cost of goods sold. I've created this monster in myself where that's all I think about. And there's so much more than just raising labor rate. There's so much more to making a shop profitable. And that's the number nobody wants to talk about either. That's the problem. We talk about gross sales, and gross sales are irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. It's about gross profit and it's about net profit. And what do we do to get the correct net profit? And I've become aware over all the years I've done this that most shops don't net profit correctly because the things aren't set up properly in alignment. They're not looking at things correctly. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about the hourly rate. It's a whole factor of 20 things that you have to do properly.
20 things. It's funny. I talked to somebody and they said, well, there's 6 things we focus on in our business. and right there, that just tells me that, there's 14 things that they're missing out there. Well, and that's when I hear things like that, how do you define and find somebody that you're able to work with and that they'll listen to you on those 20 things?
Well, there's actually 6 numbers that I can tell almost any repair shop what's going on in their business. Okay. But there's 20 things that affect those 6 numbers. Okay. It's kind of like a race car, right? If you don't have traction, you can have the highest horsepower engine in the world and you won't go anywhere. If you have traction, too much traction, the car doesn't go anywhere. So there's just so many little things. And to me, that's the intriguing part about business. But it's kind of interesting because our industry doesn't want somebody telling them what they need to do differently. And so I try not to tell them what they're doing wrong. I try to tell them this is areas you can improve upon. And here's how you improve upon them. A percentage of people go, nope. And a percentage of people grasp the concept and run with it. And they're that 1 or 2% that are profitable, that are paying themselves, paying their staff, and growing. Because they get the idea that net profit is important.
Yeah. And you'd kind of, it's funny because we did a little dry run, if you will. And at the end of like minute 45 of us talking, we were like, we get on tomorrow, we're gonna have 2 hours. I mean, and we're set for an hour. And so one of the things that was really interesting is that you talked about somebody who had kind of looked at maybe putting a bonus in place to help the service writers or to incentivize the service writers due to all the overwhelming business that was coming in. And then you'd kind of said, you'd taken a look at the numbers, really broke down what was happening. And here the shops right now, the shops are the busiest they've ever been. Take it from somebody. I'm calling shops all the time, just going, hey, would you like take a look at Facepay? And they're slammed. I've never seen shops as busy as they are right now. They're just they have the most amount coming in. But you'd kind of commented, you said, Todd, they also have the ability to be losing the most. This is exasperating this problem they may not realize. And this kind of shop you're talking about with the bonus, they put it in place. When all of it kind of came out, they're making less money than they did last year, even though they're 2 weeks deep. So, how in a situation like that, how are you getting these shops to look at things differently? I mean, it doesn't. I'm so busy. You don't know what you're talking about, Maylan. Like, I'm busiest as ever. Okay.
Well, that's because in a lot of cases we confuse busy with car count. So we have a lot of cars, parking lots full, and not to name names, but particular shop where we met, I had a 5 a.m. phone call from that guy one time, and he was mad because you guys, the employees, weren't parking the cars close enough together in the parking lot. And I said, why is this a conversation we're having? He goes, well, I'm sitting here, and if they park the cars closer together, we could get more cars in the parking lot. And more cars in the parking lot means I make more money. And I said, no, it doesn't. And do you know the turning point for that person was when they came to our service advisor school, and I showed him how he was losing over $600,000 a year in sales because of $5 and $10 parts. We were so busy, we were letting those walk out the door. And his gross profit was incorrect because he was buying parts he wasn't selling. And boy, that was the epiphany. And he came to me a week later and he says, how do I fix this? And I said, strap in, because it's going to be a lot of work. And the first thing we did was fire him from being the service advisor. And we hired another service advisor. But it took us 3 years. And his sales went up, his gross profit went up, his net profit skyrocketed. Because we were paying attention to all the things that he was too busy to pay attention to before. Car count slowed down, average repair order went up, profit went up. Because he was paying attention to the right things. And most shop owners come to me and they say, I need car count. And then when I prove to them they don't need car count, they need average repair order and they need profit. The epiphany, the light bulb goes off and they go, huh. And remember, if your car count drops, your liability drops. You have less wrong parts, less broken parts, less less mistakes made, and all of that
Wow.
affects profit. And that's why there's 20 things that affect profit, right? Because I can have the fastest technician in the world, but if he has a 20% comeback rate, that affects my profit. So there's just a lot of little pieces. And we ESI believes, let's look at the numbers and make decisions based on the numbers, not what my heart tells me. Because my heart tells me I need more cars.
Yep.
And in most cases, we need more hours per RO and more dollars per RO.
And I have a list of questions. You kind of inspired one. It's a little bit off the side there, but again, I told you I'm gonna throw you some curveballs too. How do you feel? Because that right there, what you just said about the liability. So if you know X amount of cars increases the amount of a comeback. Comebacks happen. I say I wasn't the greatest tech in the world, but you know what? I made very few mistakes. I worked on a lot of Toyotas, Hondas, Lexus, just kind of a low comeback rate on those. But occasionally something could happen. And, I had a few, but when I think about it, that few was tied to a number, probably out of X amount of vehicles I worked on. So now if we had an increase in vehicles, I actually have more comebacks, which result in kind of, profit going in the wrong direction. So what do you feel on crazy one? How do you feel about cleaning the cars, washing the cars? My car right now, my wife's car, I have to go pick it up right after this, is at Frank's European here in Las Vegas. And Frank, my car is washed, fully detailed, backed in. We did that at Valley Import Center. We did. That was my first job. I had to wash every single one of those cars, clean the windows inside and out. That's what Ian had me do. Just curious what your thoughts are on that, because there's liability in that. And
absolutely.
You know how many rear view mirrors I knocked off while cleaning the window, and we had to have the glue kits right there? Everybody listening who's owns a shop, you're like, oh, Todd's legit. He literally has the ridiculous.
He's clumsy.
Exactly.
Here's the thing, and I'm going to speak from my expertise, right? I live in California. There are 40,000 licensed repair shops in California. To give you an idea, in Nevada, there's somewhere around 1,000 to 1,500. Okay. Last number I saw, right? So there's a lot of repair shops in California. I have to do something to make my shop stand out, to make people go, wow, they're different. So cleaning the car, washing the car, what I call concierge kind of service, especially nowadays with all the things going on, is huge. Now, of course, you do think that when your wife's car gets washed, that's free to you, right?
Sure. She actually, she heard my car got washed, she asked if I could take her car in so it could get washed. And I was thinking,
but if the shop owner is smart, it's not free. It's built into the price you pay, right? It is, we hear the word cost of doing business thrown out there quite often. But if you structure your business properly, you're covering all those costs in your business. And that's where a lot of shop owners, and we'll go back to hourly rate for a second. How did they set their hourly rate? They called everybody else in town and asked, right?
Yep.
Or they had what I call a WAG, which is a wild ass guess. They don't want to be more than the dealership. They don't want to be less than the dealership. They arbitrarily pick a number. And it's kind of interesting that their number's not built on their cost of doing business. And so the number's wrong. So it really doesn't matter what their hourly rate is. It's not correct to begin with. And this goes back to understanding your numbers and setting it up. So washing a car isn't costing me anything. It's making me money because I've covered that cost in my pricing. I've made money, and that customer goes out and talks good about me. Now, you just mentioned somebody, a business, on something that's being broadcast and recorded, right? How many people will eventually hear about this repair shop? Could be hundreds, could be thousands, right?
Very true.
you're kind of like I am. I'm in front of 15, 20, 30,000 people a year. So when I mention something, that's free advertising for them. And you paid for that service.
Yeah.
So the shop actually is doing themselves a benefit. It's a marketing, it's reputation. So I'm big on all of those things. I'm big on the concierge side of this, pickup, delivery, if you can do that, washing cars, cleaning cars. I have shops that, over a certain amount, they have the car just detailed, but every car gets washed. And in our city, for example, we can't wash cars. You're gonna have no runoff water. So we went to the local car wash and bought a stack of coupons. And if we couldn't wash the car, we gave the coupons to the customer, said, hey, sorry, because you needed your car back here. And we had a lot of people come in because we washed cars for free. No,
interesting.
free. It's all part of doing business. And we were not expensive in relationship to other shops in town. And what people have to understand is in California, if I have 2,000 square foot shop, it costs me $10,000 a month. If I have a 10,000 square foot shop in the Midwest, let's say, it costs me $2,000 a month. I have to structure my pricing properly to profit properly.
Got it. Got it.
And then we haven't even factored in productivity, wasted time.
Yeah. Before we get to productivity, one of the things that we talked about before, and it wasn't was just one of those things where the feeling in the gut of my stomach was just, wow, that every month you have some shops out there that they're working so hard and so hard to put food on the table for the family, and month after month a little bit of that is eroding away and they don't realize it. And a lot of times you have some folks trying to reach out to you going, hey, I'm in trouble, I don't know what's going on. And you brought up parts, and this morning in the Ratchet and Wrench kind of email newsletter that goes out, that's how I start my morning, there was an article in there that just talked about the increased parts cost going up, like it's not going to stop, the inflation of that. And so those are things right there. The parking lot slammed. How close can we park those cars together? Can we give bonuses so people work more hours, get them in? But there's things that are happening that are eroding away all of that are increasing. So how you are ahead and knew about it, and figured it out before it was even in Ratchet and Wrench. So what are some of those things that shops that are just eroding them away, some of those ones that we're just not watching and that are increasing parts? You that was funny because you said that, and this morning there it is.
Well, here's one of the things that I've been talking to my clients about is we put inventory into the shop, and it could be brake clean, it could be silicone, it could be oils, right? Really don't need to stock a lot of hard parts nowadays. The problem is everything is going up. I had one client who's had 6 oil increases since January. So when they enter their parts into inventory 3 years ago, and they haven't checked it in 3 years, they've lost money every time they sold that quart of oil. And in some cases, they're selling it for less than they're paying for it, but they're not paying attention. So what I've told my clients is, you don't write an estimate unless you know the price of the part and the availability of the part, because that affects pricing. And every time you get something for inventory, you go right immediately into the computer system and you increase the cost of the part. Here's one of my biggest problems with our industry. How often does gasoline prices go up?
Every day, right?
Every day, sometimes hourly, right?
Yeah.
But they're out there changing and I ran many gas stations, and I used to hate having to change the gas prices because you had to change the pole price, the advertise, out on the street corner first. And I'd be, putting the new gas prices up, and people be honking and yelling at me and flipping me off. You change the pole prices, then you change the pump prices, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had to do that because that morning, the load of gas that I got overnight was at the new price. So I had to change it.
Oh, wow.
Or I'd be losing money with every gallon of gas. And I mean, you know, a cent or 2 gallon of gas profit, you can't give away much of that. I mean, it's not a huge profit. So you have to check your parts. And I'll be honest with you, this is going to be a long-term thing. We're going to have a hard time getting parts, and their pricing is going to go up. Drums and rotors, buckle your seatbelts. Anything with steel in it, because steel is rare right now. But this is the idea of understanding your business and paying attention. See, you read that ratchet and wrench article, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people got that and never bothered to look at it because they're too busy fixing cars to fix their business?
Yep.
And if that drum rotor goes up, or that drum and rotor goes up $5, you have to raise your pricing that day, or you just took money out of your pocket, you know? And it's funny, if we were in person, Todd, I'd ask you right now to give me $100.
Mm-mm.
Because if you don't raise your pricing immediately, that's what you're doing, is you're giving away $100. You're giving away $200 or $300. And we already have people who can't afford to pay themselves because they're not paying attention to the numbers. And everything is eroding away the profit. The cost of insurance, the cost of labor, the cost of parts, the cost of services that we pay for to run our stores. Everything's going up, and they're not changing their pricing. I have a client, very successful.
Mm-hmm.
He raises his hourly rate every quarter.
Wow.
It's only 2 or 3%, but it goes up every quarter because everything goes up every quarter. You know, you think about all your utilities have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to adjust. And I'm not saying that everything's about hourly rate, because if you're 50% productive, you're not charging what you think anyway. So it's all, like I said, it's all intermingled into this ball of pitfalls that if you're not paying attention to. And that's what we try to do, is make them aware of the number side of this. And this is factual information. This isn't me thinking you're not making money. I know either you are or you aren't making money. And let me just say something, Todd. I love this industry. I work really hard to help the industry. That's my focal point. I'm here today because I want to try to enlighten the industry. And before the end of this, I want to make an offer to everybody watching this, if you don't mind.
Please.
But it frustrates me to no end to meet a shop owner at a trade show, and they come to me and say, hey, I've been in this business for 20 years and I've never taken a regular paycheck.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's wrong.
Yeah.
And they work, like you said, they work really hard. I want them to work smarter. And everything that we've talked about is about becoming smarter about your business, not about raising my rate, because your rate may be perfect. And maybe not. We need to figure that out. And then we got to decide, why aren't you making that money? Is it productivity? Is it parts profit? Is it labor profit? Or do you actually need more cars? Because there's a small percentage, probably 2 or 3%, in my opinion, that really need more cars. But you don't have the money to advertise, or you're not advertising enough.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's what I mean by there's all these things that affect this. 6 really important numbers, but there's 20, 30, 40 things that affect that.
What's one of your little secret sauces you might be able to share on, let's talk the productivity of the shop? And I remember, Maylan, it was painful when you put that in place in the shop. It was painful for me as a tech, because every single thing I did was suddenly tracked. And I mean, I love you. I love you as a friend and a brother and a mentor, and Maylan, but you literally put a cap on my breakfast in the morning. I couldn't stand around and BS with the food truck for 30 minutes. There was, but I look back and I'm like, wow, those were the things that were just never even looked at, never even considered. So besides that one, don't go lock down breakfast. There you go. But what is something it's a little bit into that productivity of the shop.
The way that I write service, and for those of you who don't know, one of my jobs for 5 years, I was what we called a temporary service writer. So if, for example, at Todd's shop, if their service writer went on vacation, they could hire me to come write service for a week. And so for 5 years, I wrote service in a different repair shop pretty much every week. Literally fly in on Sunday, open a shop up on Monday, work with those guys till Friday night at 5 o'clock, go home. And so I've written service in thousands of repair shops. But here's the one thing that I took for every repair shop: short time-based goals. So if I dispatched work to Todd, for example, and I said, here's a brake job, and let's say that it pays 2 hours to do this brake job. When I handed that repair order to Todd, I'd say, here's a brake job. I need it done in an hour. A sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Because if I said, here, do this brake job, how long would Todd take to do it? Well, a half hour of that was breakfast. And then a half hour of that was the tool truck. And then a half hour of that was talking to the guy next to him about stop spraying brake clean at me when I'm bent over the fender of the car, right?
That was the least of the worries.
So we develop what I call short time-based goals. And to me, if you explain it to the technicians that we have a window of opportunity here, but if they don't know what that window is, they're going to fill the gap. It's the reason why at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a technician says, I have about a half hour on that car, and it takes until 5 o'clock to do it, because nobody's holding them accountable for time. So yes, I'm the 800-pound gorilla sometimes, because I come in and I establish these short time-based goals, and I expect you to be at work on time, dressed, ready to work, because I've scheduled you to work. And besides the short time-based goals, we have to set expectations. So when I hire Todd as a technician, I tell him, I expect you to bill 40 hours for being on site 40 hours. Now, can he do that every week? No. Too complex a vehicle, parts issues, service writer busy, those kind of things. But one of the exercises I do a lot is I figure out, as a technician, Todd, what you should be billing per minute. So I don't have a calculator in front of me. I don't know if you do, but basically we'll try to make it simple. All right. So I charge $10 an hour.
Okay, I got it. $10.
Okay. Well, let's make it a little more complex. $100 an hour labor.
Okay.
And then approximately for every dollar of labor I sell about $1 worth of parts.
Okay.
Approximately. So that's $200. So add another $100 to that, right?
Okay.
Now we're going to talk about one technician. So we have $200, right? Divide that by 60.
Okay. Divide by 60. Got it. 101.
So Todd is worth $1.01, exactly $1.10 a minute to me.
Yeah.
So when you're outside for 30 minutes on the tool truck, how much did that cost me?
Got it. Got it.
Okay. So every minute's valuable. Now, if I had 5 technicians and I'm the service advisor, I take that per minute charge times 5. So when I, as the service writer, I'm not doing my job, which is processing the paperwork, writing the estimates, ordering the parts, making that technician have work stacked up. That's now what I'm responsible for. And when you break it down to a per minute charge, people go, whoa, that's a lot. So it kind of makes them responsible for their productivity. That's some of the things that I try to bring up to make it simple numbers that people understand. So if I came to you and said, Todd, you're costing me $5 a minute for every minute you're on the tool truck, or every minute you're in the breakfast wagon, can you relate to $5 a minute?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I went to you and said, you're going to pay me $5 a minute for every minute you're on the tool truck, how long would you be on the tool truck?
Not at all.
And
bring the tools in, drop them off.
We need the tool truck, but we need to control. See, and it goes back to having control of the business. But you got to understand what it's costing us. And, you know, sometimes we as owners are our biggest problem. So we show up and we interrupt the whole crew because we want to talk about what they did yesterday in the desert. You know, we went riding this weekend. Let's talk about that. 35, 40, 50 minutes later, and now we haven't billed any time. And I can't tell you how many people are not tracking comebacks properly. So think about this, Todd. If you spend an hour replacing a default alternator,
Okay.
they're going to give you the alternator, right?
Yep.
And let's say that I'm paying you $30 an hour as a technician. How much did that comeback cost me?
Well, is it 60?
Well,
well,
I paid you $30
how long to fix it.
Right. Well, I paid you $30 to fix it, right? I didn't get an alternator. I didn't pay for an alternator. So I also paid benefits and taxes to you. So it cost me $36 in labor approximately to pay you, right? But that's not the total cost. Because at that $100 an hour number, I didn't bill anybody else for that hour, and I didn't sell parts. So that warranty did not cost me $66. It cost me $266. Because I didn't sell that time to anybody else, and I didn't sell any parts.
Wow. You know, I'm gonna let you know a little.
That's profit.
Yeah. I'll let you know a little secret. I'm never gonna share this with we've got a large group of people on here, so why don't we don't publicize this. And we're talking, this is Todd 25 years ago. So this is a long time ago, 25 years ago. So definitely, you know, I'd be a different tech now, but Maylan, when you came in, you implemented a lot of those changes. So first, you're right, breakfast was like 20 minutes, 25. We talk about the weekend, especially Monday morning breakfast, catching up from the weekend, okay? Now, the clock we had at the shop had 6-minute increments, okay? So if you happen to clock in, 5 minutes late, it didn't show that. Okay, so one of the first things you did is you change everything down to the minute. You just said, I coach to the minute, okay? So I remember that was a huge change. The next thing that happened is I got paid very well based on, my productivity. Now, interestingly enough, and this is where I'll share a little secret that I've never told anybody, but that productivity was a very big motivator. Okay, we didn't have that before. Okay, you just kind of did your job, did your lunch. So I would get those tickets and take a look, and I would clock back in. I would take an hour lunch, right? Because we would take our hour lunch, but I'd only take a 30-minute lunch. I'd start working at the end of that 30 minutes. So I actually could get 30 minutes of work done on lunch to boost my productivity. And the results of that were started rising through the ranks, everything, I eventually got to the top that they could pay me, and I kind of moved on from there. But the interesting thing of that is you change my thinking, and I was all about that productivity. You just said it was I was responsible for it. I had a part of it. And I started looking at ways that, like, wait a minute, how could I do this faster? Now, if I got here earlier, I worked a little extra, I actually took a little bit of my lunch, put it back. I mean, I had anything I could do as far as, can you tell me which vehicles I have per the day so I could line up maybe the Toyotas? Is there any way to get the Toyotas grouped together? So I'm going to have my 10, my 12, my 14, wrench out and ready to go. And those are the kind of things that the shop instantly changed. And so it's got to be a lot of fun for you to stroll into a shop and just see, like, our shop. I mean, not fun. I don't mean it, but like, you're going to help them, just like you said.
It actually creates a little heartache for me because I see the potential, right? And I want to be very clear about something. Everybody in this industry, everybody, these are the hardest working people I've ever met. And they're the most generous. They'll give you the shirt off their back. And that's a detriment. I don't tell people to work harder. I want people to work smarter. And there's things you can do that require this more than this, right? And so one of the things I talked to a lot of technicians about is staging. Like you said, if I get all the Toyotas together, I need these 5 sockets, right? But go to most shops and you see the guys walk all the way across the shop 3, 4, 5 times to get a wrench or a socket or a pencil or a tire pressure gauge. I teach staging your equipment, right? Think about a surgery. Have you ever been in an operating room or seen a picture of an operating room?
Mhm.
They have everything on trays and everything is there. Think about running your business like a surgical suite, right?
Yep.
Imagine in the middle of an open heart surgery, the doctor says, clamp, and the nurse says, hang on 1 second, has to leave the room and go to another room and get a clamp and come back.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay. This is where we have to work smarter, not harder.
Mhm.
And it works from everything from intaking the cars to scheduling the cars, dispatching, ordering parts. Answer me this, Todd, because you're here.
Mhm.
How many times had you had to look and find the parts that were delivered for the car?
Yeah.
Because they weren't organized, right? I put
Mhm.
it on the hood of the car. Well, they put it on the wrong car, or I put it on the workbench. I can't find it. How many times have you looked for keys for a car? How many times have you looked for repair orders? I mean, think
Mhm.
about all the wasted time at how much money per minute. And now it's not you, Todd. You got 5 people looking for keys for a car.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
and I'll be 100% honest with you. I've had to call a locksmith and get keys made because we so greatly lost the keys, we never found them. And think about the cost of that. That's, hundreds of dollars. And this isn't a one-time thing. It happens every single day, repeatedly, because we're not working smart. And it starts with understanding your numbers. It starts with understanding the deficiencies in those numbers and then working as a team to minimize those deficiencies. So if productivity is an issue, it's a team problem.
Mhm.
As owners, we want to blame the technicians. That's not it. If your comebacks are too high, it's not a single person, it's not a parts vendor, it's the whole process. So it's about fixing the process and looking at every number on a regular basis to say, how can I improve this? How can I make this better?
Yeah. And that, I'm gonna, Phil, let's see. All right, let's see. Am I able to share my screen? Just curious if I am there. I'm gonna give it a try.
You should be able
Let's see
to.
if I can.
If you can't, then yep, there you go.
Okay. So, like I promised at the beginning, not a diving into Facepay. As you know, Maylan, when we met, I was a technician. I went from there. I spent a couple years at Diamond Certified. I was actually in Tracy Renee's shop when she introduced me to Demand Force. That's where I met Dr. Hale. You visited at the 2nd Street office. You were the first partner of Demand Force, the very first one. You visited 4th Street, and so you would walk past Dr. Hale's office. It was right there on the left on the floor that the automotive was on. From there, I left and was with Kukui for 7.5 years. Everybody's doing amazing there. Lori's an amazing CEO. And from there, I really felt that I'd kind of done everything I could do. It was time for me to kind of look out there. And, Dr. Hale kept showing me these different things with Facepay. And partly I didn't really, there's some of it I didn't understand. And once I really dove in it, it was one of those things where I was just walking around the house, just mind blown, going, the things that attract me to the industry and the things that get me pumped up are things that I can make a difference and make an impact in a way that it just normally isn't thought of, or it is that major disruptor. So I'm going to give you guys an example of what's happening right now with my family, Facepay, couple cars, and how this particular example, real life example, had a conversation with Maylan and got all of us all together. Okay. So I checked in my Lexus, and the bill was about $822. Okay. I paid with Facepay. Very simple. I just they checked me in, took me a minute, 10 seconds. I registered with the shop. I'm great. Later on in the day, Travis gave me a call and just said, your vehicle's done. And I'd already authorized the checkout. So he simply hit the checkout, and from there put the amount in and charged me. And that was that. When I walked in, I was able to actually spend more time talking with Travis about life and family. And, we just moved from California to Las Vegas, and talked to them. I didn't have to stand there charging a card, waiting in line, any of that stuff. None, that was all done. That exchange of money and all of that is not, it sometimes is not the most enjoyable process. Let me give you my credit card. You got to run it, all that. It was all done electronically. Everything, same thing with my, all the work that was needed. I received a digital vehicle inspection that showed me what I needed. I was able to authorize it. It was a great experience. And you know what? It was not very intrusive in my day time-wise. Drop off and pickup were very fast. Now, like I said, my car came back. They detailed it. It was washed, cleaned. My wife said, wow, your car looks really nice. And I said, well, I thought we were taking your car in next month, budget-wise. And she was like, your car looks really nice and washed. So I took her car in, and, she's excited because it's, all detailed and everything. The bill came out too. She needed brakes and we tires, and quite a bit actually. So we came in right about 3,100 there. So it puts us right about $4,000. Okay. Now, again, same process with Facepay, very, very simple. I am somebody that would have used a credit card. Okay. I'd just put it on a credit card. But because, they approached me and it was, very simple. I'm just one person, one household, those 2 repair orders, they're going to save $80, $80 in fees, right there. That's it. That's 2 repair orders. And I have people, I've kind of said, like, look at what's your average repair order. And I think Phil will tell us what are we at this month? 870, 817 average repair order going through Facepay.
Just over $800 is the average one. It's higher than that generally, but August is just over $800.
So it's not the $60 going through. It's big tickets. People go, well, people don't have money, or would they do this, or would they do that? I don't care about any of that. Actually, make Facepay the first payment option. They'll use it. That's it. I have all the data. Shops coast to coast, and that part's really simple. And even myself using it, I'm just watching. And so I was talking to Travis and Frank and the other service writers, and I said, how much is it to buy lunch for the shop? And they said, I don't know, good. What are we talking, Togos? $60. I literally just said, how would you guys like it if every day lunch was paid for? What would that do for the tech? What would that, and when I showed them kind of what they had saved off of one person, and knowing what the average repair order is, the average repair order of shops, you can just see those light bulbs going off. Imagine every time, and this is where I'm getting to, Maylan. I said, every repair order, there's that fee, and they staple that amount of money to it. Let's say it's a $20 per repair order. They have to staple at $20. That's what you're paying in processing fees. And if you have a flat rate, you've heard us preaching about it. MasterCard and Visa let us all know that they're doing a rate increase coming up. So we're 4 months away. No, 3.5 months away before the rate increase. So again, like we talked about parts, this is another one that's going to keep eroding away. But real simple, as I stopped the screen share there, Maylan, you said, and this is where I just went, oh man, we got to have a webinar on this. You go, Todd, that's not it. They have to figure out how many jobs they have to do to pay for the fees that they're paying daily, monthly. There is a certain amount of work that is done. In my mind, I'll probably say it wrong, Maylan, but that's free, or you might say you just did that major service and those 3 oil changes, and that just paid for our credit card fees.
Right.
And so when you said that, it just like never, you're just always educating. The whole team was educated. Every employee in Facepay was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, so handing it back to you, this is another item. There's 6 we talk about, 20 influencers. What have you ever talked about credit card processing fees? Just the cost of doing business, right?
That's the problem, is everybody throws everything in the cost of doing business, but you got your calculator handy, right?
I do.
Okay. So and I'm going to defer to you or Phil. What do you think the average repair shop out there spends in credit card processing fees?
Average one. I come across the board. We just had a shop come on board, $48,000 in fees in 12 months. So let's go low and let's come
15,
in around
20,
18, 20.
15,
Yeah.
20, I would say is
Sure.
fair average.
Okay, so let's use $20,000 a month
Okay.
as a round number, right? All right. So we had our gross profit goal, right? In the poll in the beginning.
Yep.
So let's use easy math, because I know you're using the calculator. If at 50% gross profit and you have $20,000 worth of credit card fees.
Well, you'd have like $2,000 worth of fees.
Okay, so $2,000 worth of fees at 50% gross profit.
Okay.
You have to do $4,000 in gross sales to cover that. So our average repair order was $600. Divide 600 into 4,000.
You got to do almost 7 jobs to pay.
Okay, so 7 average repair orders every month just to pay your credit card fees. All right, so that's a tangible, right? That's a real number. It's math.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Now, here's the untangible that helps your reputation as a shop. You brought up a good point, Todd. You paid for it. You showed up. You had more time to spend with a service advisor, right? So as a service advisor, I love this, because now I'm going to explain your bill to you. I'm going to do what I call hug and kissing. And that's metaphorically, people. Don't hug and kiss your customers. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the value of doing business with us. I'm going to walk you out to the car. I'm going to present the car to you. I'm not going to take your money and go, thanks, sign here, get out. I'm going to do a delivery of the car, which makes you feel special. Why? Because I'm not spending the money swiping the credit card, and nowadays disinfecting the credit card before I hand it back to you, disinfecting the credit card machine, having you sign, shuffle the paperwork. It's all handled before you get there. It's a less stressful thing for everybody concerned. But hey, great, you're the customer, Todd, and you like the experience for this. I as a shop owner said, I don't have to do 7 more jobs for nothing, basically, no profit. My service advisor gets a chance to show good customer service and explain the repair bill, which stops buyer remorse, which is when they go home and read the bill and they go, wow, that was a lot of money. What did I get?
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I've done for years is I present the final invoice and say, here's what we brought the car in for. Here's what you complained of. Here's what we did to figure it out. I'm building value at every step, not worried about whether the credit card's going to work or whether they have it with them. There's just so many things that takes off my plate. My reputation as a shop goes up because the customer walks out there going, man, those people took good care of me. So think about this, those restaurants, we were talking about, let's get back to food.
Yeah.
It's not always the food, is it? It's the service.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
And when I have an unobtrusive waiter or waitress who just handles things, my measurement of a good restaurant is, do I have to ask for my iced tea to be refilled? That affects their tip, right? Their reputation. So the more you can do as a service provider to make it easy peasy for the customer and less stress, isn't that going to help your reputation? Isn't that going to make you a better place to do business with?
Yep.
So yes, the money's part of it, but there's also the intangible of reputation, level of service, and the way the customer talks about you.
Jeez.
All of those things are valuable, and not all of them can be measured.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, and for all the shop owners on this webinar today, if you want to do that, take your credit card fees and divide it by your gross profit. And please don't guess at your gross profit. Please know what it is. So if your gross profit's 30%, not 50%, that $2,000 now becomes $8,000 or $9,000 divided by your average repair order. You're going to work for basically free, no profit, for that many cars just to pay one bill. So it's something to really pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I look at every bill that way, every expense. I go over it with a fine tooth comb, and I'm going, all right, I need insurance. Am I getting the most bang for my buck? That's the way I look at it. And by the way, I don't want to go with the lowest cost sometimes. I want to go with the best service.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes full circle back to you as a repair shop. Are you the best service? Do you have that concierge mindset? Are you, yeah, I put it this way. All right, are you Walmart, or or are you Nordstrom's?
Yeah. Yep.
I want to be Nordstrom's.
Yeah.
And people pay for service. It's not about the cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how you take care of them, how you make them feel.
Yeah. We have a shop that we both know. I can't publicize it on this. I can ask him if he'll let me again say, but he's now over $350,000 so far put through Facepay, and $350,000. I mean, that is, when you look at what the impact of that is to the shop. And it's again, one of those, he's looking at it going, this is going to be one of my most profitable years. I'm curious about his other numbers, but I do feel that you've advised him in the past.
You know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so if he took $350,000 for the credit card processing and the fees for that by 50% gross profit, he's going to have to do 1,000 or 1,500 cars, because I kind of know his average repair order.
Yeah.
To pay for that. And when I want to take those 1,000 or 1,500 cars and take that profit, because that's what we're talking about, is real profit money, and put it in the shop for technology improvements, benefits to my employees, all of those things. Awesome. So there's a lot of factors here.
And that's exactly what he's doing, Maylan, Todd, as well. That's exactly what he's doing with it. And this is the main point of Facepay, right? You get to decide what you do with that money, as opposed to it just being the cost of doing business, which we keep referring to of credit card fees are built in there, right? So we're by no means saying that process is gone away, because there's certain customers who need to pay with their credit card still, right? But if you can convert customers by making it easy for them to accept these payments through Facepay, and those are putting percentage profit back in your pocket, that is completely up to you. It hurts me to hear that all these hardworking owners aren't getting a paycheck, right? So that could be your paycheck. It could be your service advisor paycheck, which we talked about before everyone got on here, the value of a good service advisor manager. This $500 here or whatever you can, this is valuable money to these guys. If you can't afford to give your team a raise, this might be a way that they can earn themselves a raise, right? This is back in your jurisdiction and back in your ownership as an owner, that you can do whatever you want with it, with this money that you're able to save. So I think there's some great points in there. So
let me before we get to the end, I want to make an offer to everybody listening, is that because you're on the Facepay webinar today and you've taken time out of your valuable day to listen to us talk, is I will offer any repair shop out there a free business analysis. It's basically a page of information I need from you. I'll crunch the numbers, and some of the numbers we've talked about today we'll know. And then I will give you up to 1 hour of phone time to go over those numbers with you as a courtesy for being here today. So if you want to take advantage of that, if you just get a hold of Facepay and they'll get you my email address,
Can
and
you
you can send it out to me.
Bill,
And
can you
I'll-
put the screen up on that shows
I can,
Maylan's
yeah.
content?
Let me hold it up
Please.
here.
Well, you guys are prepared. Thank you.
So
Yep,
this
there we
is-
go. I want everybody to be able to have that. On my side, Maylan, they get that hour, and if they see a demo of Facepay, I buy the shop barbecue, and I like good barbecue. I don't want anybody talking like, "Hey, Todd bought me cheap, yucky barbecue." Like, some good stuff out there with some burnt ends, and I don't know. It's we just have a good time. We just look, see if it's a fit, kind of thing. So it's kind of.
Todd, it doesn't look like
Awesome.
Maylan's email address is on there, but I believe Matthew's going to post it
Okay.
into the chat for the Facepay sign up link. And like you said, if you want to reach out to us, we'll happily connect you to Maylan. Or Maylan, do you want to just tell me it here, and Matthew can maybe type it in? What's your email address for people that want to reach out to you?
It's Maylan, Maylan, at E as in Edward, S as in Sam, I as in ink, seminars.com.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so if we can, we'll post that into the chat as well. The sign up link for the demos, for anything to do with Facepay, is in there. If you sign up on that link today, like Todd said, we'll buy you lunch for your whole crew, introduce you to the whole product, and show you all that we can do. So amazing information. There's a lot of information. This will be recorded, and it has been recorded, sorry, and we will send it out to you. Main thing I took was, I know firsthand talking to all these shops how busy everybody is. It's not just a case of being busy and adding revenue. It's a case of keeping that revenue, right? It's not how much you earn, it's how much you're able to save or choose to go to your bottom line. So work smarter, not just harder. Maylan, thank you very much for your time. His information is in the chat. Todd, you know how to get a hold of him. You just sign up for a demo and he'll be on the call. So if you need anything from us, all our information will be in the chat. We want to thank you for joining us. Todd, Maylan, any last things here?
I just want to say,
Maylan,
I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to talk to everyone. And if you're going to be at Apex, I'll be speaking at Apex in November. Stop by, say hi, shake my hand. Maybe we can get Todd to buy us lunch.
Perfect. Maylan, I have my notes here, and give us the 60 seconds. You're doing another amazing thing out there, Amazing Women.
Oh.
It's an automotive group that is groundbreaking. It's, again, when you're telling me, I'm like, how many great ideas can this man have? You just, this is a brilliant idea. Can you give me a quick on that for the folks we have?
I felt that women were not given the respect they should in our industry. And so we started a group called the Amazing Women in Automotive. And it's open to any woman in the industry, from technicians, service advisors, owners, front office people. They meet once a week on Thursdays, I believe. It's run by our moderator, Tiffany Shirato, who owns a transmission shop in Oklahoma. And what we're trying to do is give women a place to have a conversation with women about the automotive industry. We're also developing a mentor-mentee program to bring young women into our industry and to give them an opportunity to be helped through the process with an experienced automotive professional, so they have the best chance of success. And if you're not approaching women to be technicians and service advisors, you're missing the boat, because some of my best dragon slayers, that's what I call service writers, are females who have never been in the automotive industry, because they understand people and they understand money. So if you'd like to,
I can attest to that as well. The ones we deal with on the Facepay side, we have a thing called Women Wednesday, where we focus on our ladies in the shops who they just do an awesome job. They're great on the training calls. They're great at training their team. So love that cause. I didn't know that. I'm glad you mentioned it, Todd. That's awesome.
and actually Marianne just put in the chat that it's Wednesdays. I was mistaken. They don't even let me attend the meetings. It's women only, so that they feel comfortable. I have to ask permission if I want to talk to the group. So
awesome.
reach out to myself, or you can actually search Amazing Women in Automotive, and you'll find the website where you can sign up for the Facebook group.
Awesome.
So again, I appreciate the opportunity, and I want to end this with this. I really care about the industry. If you're listening to this and you have a concern, an issue about your repair shop, please reach out to me. I always put the industry before anything else. So if you have a quick question, you have a problem, you want to talk, call me. We'll schedule time to talk, and I'll help you. If you call me every day, we'll talk about you paying me something. But right now, all I care about is helping the industry. I'm more concerned about the industry than I am my paycheck. So let me know how I can help, please.
Awesome.
Todd, all good?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate everybody joining. I know a few have hopped off now, but good showing. And let us know, either of us know, if you need anything, and we will be sending you this recorded link for you to go over all the fine details. So appreciate everybody's time. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.
Hope to see you at Apex. Talk to you.
See you there. Yeah.